The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corporation.
A wonderful way to start your day. More interviews, more fun. This is Sandy Kastel.
I'm here today with Johnny Coppola. Hi, Johnny.
Hi, Sandy.
How are you?
I'm good.
You know, I've known him for about 3 years now, I think 3 or 4 years, and we met over at the Foundation Room.
We did.
Yes, when you were just moving into Las Vegas, and you said, I want to take Las Vegas by storm.
I did not say that.
You did, I remember.
No, I
There was an
didn't.
inference in the air, I could feel it.
Okay.
But you came from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And you have a long history in the music industry,
Yes,
but
I
it's
do.
in a little bit different role than what you're doing right now. So
Right.
tell us a little bit about that.
I started as a disc jockey,
Yeah.
a club DJ, and then I got hired by Columbia Records to promote dance music.
Uh-huh.
And I worked at Columbia for 10 years, and we did more than dance music. We did everything. I worked with Tony Bennett and Mariah Carey and just about everybody on the Columbia roster, Bruce Springsteen. We promoted all their records, and I worked my way up. And then we opened a label on the West Coast, which was called the Work Group. We had great acts, Fiona Apple, Jamiroquai.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
wonderful. And moved to L.A. and was working in L.A. for many years, then moved over to Capitol Records, and I was a promotion man at Capitol Records. I was the vice president of promotion there. That was fun.
How long did you do that?
Long time,
Yeah.
about 5 years at Capitol.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And what made you decide to come to Las Vegas and start singing here?
Well, I started writing Rat Pack poetry.
Uh-huh.
I started writing little stories and songs about, like, the jet era, the jet age, and what it would be like to be, like, part of the Rat Pack and that whole vibe back then, Manhattan's martinis, fast women, fast cars, the whole kind of, like, super cool, hip lifestyle, that was fueled by booze, basically, instead of, drugs, which was, the other side of it in the 60s, right? The early 60s.
Yeah.
And I always loved Sinatra's stuff and Tony Bennett stuff and all the great singers, Ella Fitzgerald, obviously, and Sarah Vaughan, and just the great writers, Jerome Kern and Harold Arlen and Johnny Mercer, and the list goes on and on and on. And I love their music, Hoagie Carmichael. I mean, these are great writers. And this music, it's kind of like once you listen to it and really understand it, I don't care whether you're 5 or 55, you love it. And it never leaves you. And it's always inside you. So I decided that I was going to take a shot at writing what I'll call neo-standards, right? Songs that, have that vibe, but are original. And I did. I licensed quite a few of them, like to a couple of movies and some television shows, and that was fun. So that was exciting.
And then you decided that you wanted to start singing them
Yeah,
live?
I wanted to sing live. So the first time I actually did it live, I took out Capitol Studio A, Capitol Records, where I worked, Hollywood and Vine. It was a brilliant night. I invited the world, and we had a lot of fun. And I've got a great band and a great music director, a great co-writer. His name is Bill Cunliffe. He's fantastic. He's a brilliant. I mean, he's one of the greatest. And if anybody doesn't know about him, you know about him now. And you really just listen to what this guy can do. Bill Cunliffe, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful player. And other great players. And we put this great band together. And then I started doing shows in Los Angeles. And I moved here about a year ago to see if I could, maybe create a little niche for myself in Las Vegas, because now that the DJs have taken over and really live music is basically on the downswing, am I right?
Well, it goes and it comes.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like the old days where, now they feature a DJ and, for these kids, and, it's not like you've got the big giant acts playing here every other week. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know. It's turned around. It's
Well,
changed.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry to be inarticulate about it because I don't know the town that well, but what I'm basically saying is I thought maybe if you could create a small niche, small crowds, eventually, you know, a year or two, whatever, you get a little name for yourself, and you can go out and enjoy yourself once a week, make yourself a little money, and have yourself
you want to make money at this too?
No, but you can. You can. That's the great thing about it, is if you build a crowd, if you build a fan base,
you can get
will.
a following. Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what? When they come, the great thing about that is everybody makes money. You know, you like to duke the drummer an extra $200 or whatever.
Yeah.
The bartenders make money. The barmaids make money. You know, that's what it's all about.
Well, that part of it has changed a lot here in Las Vegas, and just like you said, we don't have all the lounges we used to have when I was growing up here and singing in the hotels. Now we've got a lot more people singing in restaurants.
Right.
Which
Well, see,
is
that's
unique.
what I mean. Like when you were hanging, you could sing in hotels.
Yeah, and lounges,
Exactly.
Nice lounges, 2-drink minimum.
Right.
And we would get all the comedians in between our shows, like
exactly.
Shecky Green.
That went out with the Hulu.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I don't know if it's that long ago.
No, but you know what I
But
mean.
yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
OVA.
Well,
over.
I don't know that it's ever over, but it has changed.
Yeah.
It is.
But I mean, you're not going to find named singers in any lounges if you walk into any of the big hotels.
You know what's happened? There's always a cycle. You know, it kind of comes around. And there was a period in the 80s, remember when, well, you don't know, but when we were here, it all went to duos and trios, even just, you know, duos. And in fact, my dad, who plays saxophone, had to learn guitar. Right. He said, look at me, I'm 50 years old and I got to learn the guitar so I can do a duo, you know, and he did some kind of Commodore or something, you know, lineal, whatever. And he had to do the chords one note at a time, you know, to stack them. And then work with the chick singer. And then it came back around again where we started getting some more lounges opening up again and people coming and singing. But we only have a few right now. We only have a few
it's a shame.
Lounges,
But then again, that's the way it is. And
well, we keep hoping.
Things move on.
Yeah. So, all right. So when you did do the first actual live appearance of singing these songs that you had recorded in the studio, which obviously when you get to record them and you play with those great musicians, it's a lot different than when you actually go out into one of these clubs.
Well, I'm lucky because all those same great musicians played live with me.
Okay, they did. But then how was it for you? I'm talking about standing in front of the mic, in front of an audience, singing.
The first time I was scared to death, and then I realized, you know, just be prepared, relax, don't overthink it, and you'll have a blast. And that's kind of the mindset every time I go out on stage now. Is now that I'm, you know, I've done many, I mean, not a million gigs, but a lot of gigs. And I have a blast when I go because I just want to have fun.
Well, you brought all
I want to have everybody to have fun.
So you brought all those guys from California to play with you the first time, right?
In Vegas? Yeah, when I did the Riviera.
The first time.
I played the Riviera hotel, and I basically brought the whole rhythm section. We just picked up the lead guys from, you know, great musicians here in Las Vegas. That's the one thing about Vegas, is that you will not have to worry about finding a great player. You could throw a rock and hit one.
Yeah. Now, when you were at the Riviera, you were at that room where Lon Bronson used to play and stuff.
I don't know. I wasn't familiar with the Riv. I'd never stayed there.
Oh, you hadn't? Yeah.
So
it's a nice room.
Oh, it's a beautiful room.
It's great.
A lot
it's
of people.
Gone now.
No,
it was a beautiful room.
Yeah, history,
a lot of our rooms are gone now. They're in the graveyard.
That's
know.
okay.
Yeah, but now we have new places.
Build new ones, right?
Well, I do understand that the millennials kind of like an experience, and anything that we can do to give them the experience of something, they will come to.
Yeah.
So my thinking has been bringing back that that old supper club feel.
I'll tell you, I was thinking
if we
that
could
I had
get
that conversation with somebody yesterday.
Yeah.
I swear to God, it's like Vegas really needs a great supper club.
Yeah.
Because people, I think, will come because they'll enjoy themselves. They have great food choices here. Look, you've got some of the greatest restaurants ever. Within, you can go anywhere and have a great meal.
Well, and I think there are a lot of people out there that want to dress up, but right now the way things are in the hotels is kind of, you can come any way, you can wear shorts, you can wear this, you can wear that.
The guy with the flip-flops, the I'm with stupid t-shirt and the baseball hat.
Of course, the girls are decked to the nines, but the guys...
Them, it's like, do I want to really throw the bones at this table? I don't know.
Yeah, but every time I've had an event that I've had either at my home or at another location, and told them it was a suit and black tie event, or that it was tux, or it was dress up, or it was a masquerade ball, everybody would go out and get a new outfit just to come to the event.
It's fun.
So I think if we could create that again and really give them a high class kind of feeling. Yeah,
so funny. It's so funny that you're talking about this. I was talking to somebody last night about it, and I said, when the band dresses, it elevates the whole show. And he's like, "What are you talking about? No, it only the singer needs to be dressed." I'm like, no, because what happens is if you've got everybody dressed and looking like they look professional, number one. And it just gives a first-class vibe, a better vibe to everything. And maybe some people will think twice, hey, next time I go there, I'm going to look sharp because, blah, 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 blah. And, you get to relive that whole kind of vibe if that's what you're into. There are people that, they suit it up because they want to look good, whether it's a zoot suit, that old school kind of vibe, or, whatever it is. I think it's very wise. You're probably fighting a losing battle trying to get everybody to get dressed.
I don't know. It's an idea
nice.
I have.
It's lovely to walk into a room and everybody's dressed and everybody doesn't look like,
Well, and they look like they're going out for an evening on the town.
Well, everybody wants to look like a Microsoft, like a techie CEO now with sneakers and a hoodie.
Even the young guys, and girls. The girls are dressing up,
oh, thank God for that.
Yeah. But besides that, you were involved in a couple of other things. You also are still working on other projects.
Yeah, I produce records. I remix a lot of dance records and things like that. And, but I'm really looking forward to this gig next week.
This gig? You have a gig?
Yes.
Where is it?
At the Dispensary Jazz Lounge.
Yes. And where's that located?
Tropicana.
Yeah, and
I think it's 24. What's the address? 2451.
I think we'll be posting that.
Yeah, it's
we'll
wonderful.
Post the address.
Uli Geisendorfer is the music director.
Oh yeah, he's
there,
amazing,
and he's a great piano player, and we're gonna have fun.
Yeah. So I think it's a trio, right?
Yeah, we're gonna have a trio.
Yeah.
I think we may have some guests, but it's gonna be Friday night, August 25th.
And I think you're starting at 10 o'clock.
We go on at 10, and we're gonna play through the night
until everybody leaves, right?
No, we're going to do two shows.
Two shows.
We go probably 10 to 11:15, and then take a little break.
Yeah.
And go from midnight to whatever.
Well, the dispensary's been around for a long time.
Long time.
Yeah,
it's
something
so
like
funny.
60 or 70 years, and
I gotta tell you,
they used to have music, and then they went without music for years, and then the owner
great little
just started it up about 10 years ago?
I don't know.
15 years
I'm
ago?
new to Vegas.
She decided to start having entertainment again.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Adele, she's lovely.
Adele, yeah, and what they've done is they've created this whole atmosphere. It's a small place. It's intimate.
Right.
They have the best burgers in town, I tell you.
Without
Oh my
doubt.
gosh, yeah. And
if you like charcoal flavor, that's your place.
charcoal flavor.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
They have the best char burger I've ever had.
Yeah, and then a good friend of mine, Wendy Carianis, played there when Adele first started. I think she was one of the first singers that sang there, and then she actually introduced Uli to the club because he was playing with her and with her band. And then, of course, Uli is at UNLV, and he teaches in the jazz program.
Right, wonderful cat.
He's internationally known.
Very dry sense of humor.
Dry sense of humor, yes, and he has albums out, and he has just really turned out a lot of great young musicians too, through his teachings and stuff. So he's really a character and a great musician. So you're going to have a wonderful band behind you.
Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, I was there the first time you were there.
I had a blast.
And it was really
that
nice.
night.
Yeah,
I had a good time.
Yeah. So August the 25th, that is a Friday night, and it is at 10 o'clock till about 2 o'clock or so. And unless people don't leave, then you'll just have to stay all night, I guess.
I hope people do, because see, my show is very different from everybody else's. I don't just get up and sing the tunes, because it's just one after. Let me be more clear. My show's a little different because we incorporate poetry in the show. All songs are poetry, obviously set to music, but I talk about, like, if on my first album, which is Hollywood Indigo, it was basically, when I wrote the record, I wrote nearly half of the record. We used some standards, like It's a Blue World, wonderful song, These Foolish Things, I Only Have Eyes for You. Those are some of the standards that are on the record, but the rest is filled with original songs and poems.
Right.
And the poems are basically about Sinatra's comeback, how he fell from grace and then, you know, made it back, and about women that, you know, broke your heart, how you can, you know, and it's all set in that kind of magical
Era.
late 50s era of like, you know, your best friend is a bottle of booze.
Yeah.
You know, and if depending on how much money you had, it was depending on the quality of booze.
The quality of booze.
And the less the hangover.
And the quality of dames.
Yeah, well, that's always true.
I think we have one of your songs. We have a video clip, right?
I think so.
And what is that? It's Blue something.
Well, that was done live at Capitol Studio A. And I wrote a song called Good Looking Blues.
Okay.
And it's just about, you know, a guy who gets jilted, but, you know, he knows better. So it's actually a very cool song.
Cool. Okay, we're going to hear this from Johnny Coppola, and we'll be right back after a message from our sponsors.
Every fella's got a right, now and then, to walk into a joint, a gin mill, a bar, a discotheque, a swank hotel, whatever. Order himself a cocktail or two, maybe wink at a dame, talk to a fellow patron about things that have happened in his life. Maybe he'll just chew the bartender's ear off. Anyway, it's about one of those fellas. See, my baby left me for someone just like me. They say he's got some money, but he's handsome as can be. I got blues, I got good looking blues. That's what I got. She's long gone, bye-bye. I got blue. She didn't take a thing from me. Trust me, she don't need it. Hey Johnny, a king did offer her his arm. You know what she said? She said, sire, won't you beat it? He's got blues. Royal blues. She's long gone. Old Rex, sitting up in his throne, he got blues. Met a caddy dealer, he offered her the lot. She picked herself a new Seville, but for Lincoln she got hot. He's got blues, Coupe de Ville blues. She's long gone. Caddyman got white wall and AM FM radio power window blues. Hey, if you happen to see this woman in some jet set town, Dickie, lock away your wallet or you're gonna wind up upside down and you're gonna have blues. You'll have blues. She'll be long gone on the horizon. You're gonna be sitting there having the blues. Chiodini's got blues. Wow. Frankie's got blue-eyed blues. Elvis got blue suede blues. Yeah. Tony Bennett's got Astoria blues. Joey Cavallo got Boston Red Sox blues. Ha! Saxophone Tommy P. You think Tommy's got blues? Brian's got blues. Jeffrey's got blues. Trumpets, they got blues. That big bad bone's got blues. Boom boom, got blues. Got blues, boom boom. Johnny's got blues. Billy Conlif's got. You got blues, Billy? Yeah, he's got blues. Anybody got blues? Do we have blues? Do we have blues? I got blues, good looking blues, plain old blues. We got blues. T.O.D.'s got blues. She's long gone. I don't know where she went. And I've got a small case of the blues.
Hi, I'm Joe Peroni.
And I'm Heidi Mancini, and we're the hosts of the Rise Above show. Check us out on WWDB.TV on Thursday afternoons at 2 p.m.
Crazy Terry here with your car care tip of the day. Today's tips on cooling systems. This vehicle's got about 182,000 miles on it, so if you're checking the coolant, check the hoses too. Just feel them and see if they're soft or any signs of fatigue for the mileage on it. They don't feel bad, they look like they're still the original hose, but you want to make sure you don't go too long with these hoses because they will eventually deteriorate, cause a problem. In this case, this car's got a visible leak. The customer brought it to us. We'll pop the hood and check the cooling system. First, we just relieve any pressure might be on the cap, remove the cap, take a look inside. We see it's kind of low. Now we'll start our inspection. What we found on this one is the top tank is leaking. It's got a crack in it. Pretty common for these plastic radiators to do that. I want to get to a shop right away because severe engine damage can result from overheating condition like this. In this case, it was pretty easy to see the crack was right on the top tank, but a lot of times we'll have to pressurize the system to locate the exact leak. Could be a hose in the back, could be underneath. Some of these are hard to find, but in this case, a very common leak, the top tank. When we're testing a cooling system, it's okay to use just water, but you want to make sure when you're filling it up properly, it's a 50-50 mix of antifreeze and water. It needs the water to make the chemical work, so don't just put straight antifreeze. 50-50 mix is the best way to go. Keep it clean, keep it rust-free. So as you can see, we got a pretty active leak. You got to get this fixed, or there's going to be some engine problems. If you're going to top off your own coolant, it's really not that hard. If you got a radiator cap, just make sure it's not hot. Take the cap off and take a look. In this case, we're pretty full here, but what we have is the overflow jugs empty. So we'll just add that. Once again, check your manufacturer's specs to make sure what type of coolant you have. In this case, we're using the good old green. There's gold, there's red, there's yellow, all types out there. Just want to make sure you're staying with your manufacturer recommended coolant. And that's really all there is to it. The cooling system is a major component. You'll want to service that regularly. If you have a problem, it could be too late and cost you thousands of dollars. If ever you have a problem, come into Sun Valley Automotive. It's no charge to look at your cooling system. This is Crazy Terry with your car care tip of the day.
Welcome back to the Sandy Kastel Show. I'm here with Johnny Coppola, and he is going to be performing Friday night, the 25th of August at 10 p.m., and he'll be there till 2 p.m., I think. Until,
I will, kiddo.
Yes, and he's going to do a couple of shows. He's going to sing some of those songs from the Great Songbook.
The Great American Songbook. I'm looking forward to singing those songs.
In addition,
and my Neo standards and a few poems. That's really hip.
And I understand you have
kind of like Jet Age beatnik stuff.
You have a brand new album.
No, it's not brand new.
Oh, well, how old is it?
It's only a couple of years old.
Oh, well.
It's called A Shot to the Kisser.
But it's new to some people.
Yeah, I think it's going to be new. Believe me, my music's new to a lot of people.
So how did you, tell us about the album, A Shot to the Kisser.
Yeah, I wrote, 14 tunes, Bill Cunliffe and I, and John Chiodini and I. And I just wanted to record them, and there's a couple of really nice ones. I actually wrote a waltz called A Song for Love on a Summer Night that's just lovely. Mm-hmm. John Chiodini plays beautifully on it, and Bill plays beautifully on it. And the whole band is just smoking. We had all the great players in L.A. and wonderful guys, and it's a nice record. It goes from, hey, I'm in love, I'm happy, and then all of a sudden it's like, uh-oh, what happened? And yeah, and
life.
It's life, right? It's a nice record, and I like it. A lot of people have talked to me about it. They like it, so
So did you draw from a lot of your personal experience?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. That's what it's all about.
Writing songs is
even if you're singing a cover, about somebody else's life. Those things happen to you anyway.
That's right. You can relate to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
everything's
we've
relatable.
All been there.
So it's just how you deal with it and how you express it.
Yeah.
At least for me.
So now, who are the musicians that were on the record?
No,
Listen to me.
It's a record. It is a record.
The CD,
I
the
actually
album.
want to put it on vinyl. But it's John Chiodini's the guitarist, and Bill Cunliffe is the pianist. Okay. And we got all the big session players. We have great saxophone players like Jeff Driscoll and, who's my boy? Jeff and Brian Scanlon and Tom Peterson, who does great arranging. He was on the Tonight Show band, and these guys play for everybody. They're everybody, L.A. Philharmonic. They're in the L.A. So yeah. The musicians. The great thing about that is I never worry about that. You get a good guy, a good music director, and they will bring the heat.
So, are you living in Las Vegas actually?
Yes.
Yeah. So you've made your residence here.
So far.
How do you feel about that?
I don't know.
I mean, you're living a little bit further out than everybody else. I know because I've been there for dinner. So you make a wonderful Italian meal.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
No, I like Vegas. I really do. It's got a distinct vibe. I like the people. People smile at you in the supermarket. It's a nice vibe. yeah, I'm enjoying it. You know, the question is, you know, do you, you know, if you're going to plant your flag here, the soil better be worthwhile.
That's right.
You know. So.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. You're still going back and forth.
I go back and forth to Los Angeles all the time. I was in New York and Boston a couple of weeks ago. And, you know, so.
All right. So if you had one wish, what would it be?
One wish?
Yeah.
Was that a loaded question? A musical wish?
Whatever.
No, seriously.
No, it's whatever.
Well, I don't want to be selfish, so I don't know. That question is just way too loaded.
Oh, really?
Oh shit!
Oh,
yeah.
come on. You can give me
kidding?
something.
No.
No.
It's
no wish. All right. So you want a category for the wish? You want it to be musical, or personal,
no, I don't know. I mean,
or romantic, or
wishes,
or humanitarian.
What's that old saying? If wishes and butts were candy and nuts, we'd all be having a party. Really?
I don't know. I didn't hear that one.
If wishes and butts were cocaine and sluts, we'd all be having an orgy.
I never heard that one either.
Well, you did now, kid.
I've led such a sheltered life.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, so musically, then, what is your one big wish for yourself as an artist?
Oh boy, that would be just you know, I don't know, maybe to get the music really. I'm lucky. You know, I'm a lucky guy because I had a great job for a long time and it afforded me all these wonderful opportunities to make records on my own.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people couldn't just do that.
That's right.
You know, and
they couldn't hire all the best musicians in LA.
Well, it's not even that. You know, if you've got money, you have to have the talent and the passion too
to back it up.
Because believe me, you know, as a producer, because I produced both these records and I produced several records, but as a producer, you know, you get calls, hey, come and do this record for us. And I'm like, okay, I got the best guy here, I got the best guy here, I got the best guy here. And then all of a sudden there's 1 week link in the chain and it's over. You get a guy who's got, say, a boatload of dough.
And sometimes it's a performer.
And he's got to be he's got this fantasy of being, you know, the next Bruno Mars or the next Sinatra or the next Tony Bennett or the next James Taylor, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he hires nothing but the best. And he can't sing a lick or he can't, you know, those things happen.
Those are called ego albums.
Well, yeah, you know, but they don't go anywhere.
But a lot of people will take advantage of people that want to do those kinds of albums.
Exactly, they do.
You're talking about having...
I would just like to have more people listen to my music and maybe, you know, play a really big venue someday. That would be my ultimate wish because I think once they get used to the, you know, the idea, because it's kind of like it's the Great American Songbook with a little twist to it, and I think that twist is enough to make it unique and make people enjoy it. Maybe look a little deeper into it. It's like, oh, I wonder what life was like back then. You know, where, you know, you didn't have to get tortured, you know, to make a buck, or, you know, you went to work, you enjoyed yourself, you had yourself a martini. I mean, everybody's got problems, but life was different. It was slower. It wasn't in your face. It wasn't boom, bam, bam. You know, everybody gave people a little room. Put it that way.
It's because we didn't have Facebook and Twitter.
And, look, that's a good thing.
Dating sites.
And it's a bad thing, but you know, well, no, everything is now. It's in your face.
And
if you don't play
that.
The game,
right,
people think you're slacking. But it's like, well, guess what? I'm playing that game, so you're just one in 100,000 faces that's going to be gone in a microsecond. So I don't think people really get it.
I think a lot of people don't realize that a lot of people have lost that personal touch. You know, they go out into the world and they're so used to doing this and communicating that way and discarding people, swiping right, swiping left, whatever. They discard people like they discard whatever.
It's important to have your social, you know, your social circle and your friends, because the truth is, you know,
you have to develop relationships that last a lifetime.
You can go on any kind of site you want and look at anybody. It's like whoopee-doo, you know. That's all you are, is another face in the crowd.
But back then we didn't. Back then, of course, you're talking about an era before our time, but something that we were on the tail end of. I think we were influenced by our parents and the music that we listened to. We still listen to it,
right?
Just like myself and listening to my dad, playing, and me growing up listening to musicals, listening to those artists that you're talking about, the Ellas and
yeah,
Carmen
and you got to have a good
and
wide range and
Sinatra
taste.
and Bennett,
right?
And so we had a whole different time frame. We had a lot of time on our hands to sit and listen to a full album in a room, like with a nice stereo system.
Yeah.
Now everybody's listening, with earphones, or we're listening in the car.
See, that's the great thing about the songbooks. I'll tell you what, the older catalog music from, say, the 30s through the 60s, where Johnny Mercer was still writing tunes, and those albums, when you bought one of those albums, if you bought a Sinatra record, you usually got your money's worth. If you bought a Tony Bennett record, usually an Ella record, because those songs are great. So it's one after another. Most of the time.
Most of them, right.
There's some songs you don't like.
Yeah.
But when you got into the rock era, and like I remember buying records as a kid, I'll go to the store and buy a record, I'll save up my money, and I bought an album, like, I don't like this song, I don't like that song, blah blah blah. A lot
of times it was one song.
Well, sometimes, but most of the groups were great in the 60s, though. You have to remember, if you listen to the Buckinghams or Blood, Sweat and Tears or Chicago, or I can name a million of them, I just off the top of my head. All those records are usually good, but there were some records you heard a great song, a hit on the radio, you did bring the album home, and it was a little bit disappointing.
Right.
So from that standpoint, that had a whole...
And of course, you also got a lot of album cuts that were longer than what they would let you play on the radio. So you'd hear a 3 or 4 minute song on the radio.
Well, look at "Light My Fire" by the Doors.
Then you'd have an album. You'd take the album home, and then you'd sit there, and there seemed to be some kind of a story weaving through it, a theme,
Taxi
weaving through
by Harry Chapin.
The album. Yes, Pink Floyd. Well, that was later, but those kinds of albums.
Dark Side of the Moon. Are you kidding me? Every Brick in the Wall.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'll tell you about that later.
Oh, that's for next time.
Yeah, the next time I'll tell you about a little concept record I'm working on that should be interesting.
Okay, so all right, so basically, your wish is to kind of introduce this music and
not introduce it. I just, hopefully
share it.
People, right. People will buy. They'll go on the web, or they'll find Hollywood Indigo, which was recorded at Capitol and Sonora Studios by, like I said, the great guys. And Hollywood Indigo is all about, broken hearts, booze, and where do you go from here, and have fun, and it's joyful, but it's like life, and then a shot to the kisser.
Okay, so are you going to be promoting a song? You're going to put it on the Billboard chart? I mean, you're going to submit it to the charts? No, you're not going to take any of your songs.
No,
you're not going to market yourself or your songs? Or?
No.
Why?
Well, because
it's jazz.
It doesn't matter. Basically, what goes on is, in this market today, there are choices inside of choices, inside of choices, inside of those choices. Unless you have, and this is a lesson I've learned in the record business, because as a vice president of promotion at a major label, I would have to look at all my budgets for all my artists.
Right.
So if I'm looking at, I've got 5 records scheduled coming out in the next month, I have to know, well, I'm going to be spending $2 million on this record. I'm going to be spending $5 million on this record. I don't know about this record. We don't know how much they want to give us, blah, 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 blah. And I'd have to fight. And basically what would happen is, you would need to chase everything. And all you're going to do is go broke. If you don't have a war chest, you're dead. So that's why it's important for people to just discover the music on their own. You can promote it. It's great. And the best way to promote music is...
online.
No.
No.
Not at all.
Oh.
No, you could do it online. You could do it anywhere. No, it's live.
Where? Live.
It's the experience.
Live.
Because somebody
music.
sees...
What a concept.
Well, somebody sees a great show. and they hear a piano player like Bill or like Uli.
Right.
And they're like, whoa. And then they hear a cat sing. It's like, wow, this cat is like genuine. He's real. He's not a phony. He's not just going through the motions trying to be a Sinatra impersonator.
Right.
I'm going to tell you, Tony Bennett taught me so much. Tony Bennett one day came on. He happened to be on our floor. I guess he had a meeting with one of the executives. And I'd known Tony before I started in the music business, before I actually got to Columbia Records, because there was a friend of mine who's his dear friend, they're like brothers, in Boston. His name is Ron Delachiesa, one of the most beautiful people I know. Ronnie's he's a great DJ, great history in Boston radio. And I would go and see Tony when Tony would come into town to visit Ron, and we'd go to GBH, WGBH, and I'd get to sit and listen to the interviews and everything. And I would just listen to Tony, how he conducted himself, you know, what he would tell young people, how to do this, you know, not to be afraid, to just, you're the man, just get up there, do your thing, do the best you can, but always to be a professional, act like a professional, dress like a professional. The funniest thing is one day Tony's in the office and I'm sitting in my office and I'm blowing out promotion calls, and I don't know how many records I'm working. Play my record, blah 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 blah. Play my record, blah 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 blah. Anyway, so Tony and Danny, who's his producer and manager, they come in, say hello, they sit down, and what are you doing, Johnny? I said, I'm calling radio stations. I said, you want to call some radio stations, Tone? And talk about your music, even though they'll never play your records because these are all pop stations.
Yeah, right.
Honest to God.
Right.
And Tony made a big when
I know.
A Stroke of Genius was getting him on MTV, which we did at Columbia, but it all started with his 40th anniversary of his being signed to Columbia Records. That was just exquisite. But Tony and I sat there making calls to the radio panel, to all the major radio stations in the United States. And like, some people didn't believe me. Most of my friends knew. You know, if I say Tony Bennett's on the phone, he's on the phone. And I'll tell you, he would talk to guys who were programming hip-hop. And it was wonderful. And he'd just talk to them and say, hey, how are you? He'd ask about their families. And he'd talk music if they asked musical questions. It's just, guy's the greatest.
And so he sat there with you and did that?
Absolutely. It was like 2 hours. It was a time of my life. I just wish I had some, some
copies of that.
A record of it,
yeah.
You know? I mean, I have several pictures with him. And,
yeah.
Because he's kind of my idol, but, you know, just a wonderful human being, a beautiful person. So God bless you, Tony.
Okay. Well, based on that, you heard Tony giving advice out. What would be your advice?
To who?
To young artists.
Oh, just be passionate about the music. You know, understand that, you know, it's going to take a lot of time. It depends on if you write it or not. You know, just if you write something that doesn't feel good to you, get rid of it. Don't use it until it feels good to you. If it's sometimes you got to go there, but
yeah, you
know, but most of the time, 75 to 100% of the time, don't put anything on, you know, on vinyl, on CD, on whatever, in cyberspace, unless it's good. You can't. It's like food. You know, you got to eat fresh food. You have to eat good food. You don't eat crap, right?
Yep.
So why would you serve it to your audience? You know,
they don't know.
No, I think a lot of I think a lot of people are quite educated now. Yeah. I think they're very astute. Because they've had people, and let me clarify this by saying that people who have learned or know the American Songbook are astute because they're good listeners. And if they know great songs, that's basically half the battle.
Okay, so you've got this performance. You got some water there for you.
Oh, it's okay, thanks.
You sure? So you've got your performance coming up at the dispensary.
Friday night.
10 o'clock.
August 25th. I hope everybody comes. I really would love to see a great film.
Really. We'd love for you to come out and check it out.
Would your cameraman come?
You mean John?
Big John?
John, he might come out, you know.
Because I may have to,
I
may have to,
What?
lean on them.
To come out.
Lean on them a little bit to come out.
Yeah, well, you are, from the old school, so yeah, you might be able to do that. And you're kind of, you are kind of big,
Listen to me.
You're tall.
There's no such thing as the mob.
Well, I didn't
Jimmy,
say.
get the car.
Did I say mob? Well, it's always a pleasure to talk with you about the industry and about your history. And I know you've played some albums for me, and some albums that are just amazing, of things that I hadn't heard before.
Yeah.
And I've listened to a lot of music over the years.
So much out there.
But I've gotten out of the habit of just sitting and listening to music all the time, because I'm always running.
Right.
And I know now we have Rhapsody. A lot of people, can just plug in their iPhone in their car.
You got Pandora, Spotify.
Pandora's box. That's it. Pandora's box.
Pandora, not Pandora's box.
Oh, I thought
that's a Greek myth.
Is that something else?
It's a Greek myth. Pandora's box.
Oh, it is. Oh.
Yeah, it's actually Pandora's jar. If you actually read mythology,
okay, well,
it's not Pandora's
it's
box.
Pandora's something, it is Pandora. But the bottom line is now they're even building cars without CD players, and now it's all going to be just plugging it into your iPhone or your other smartphone. That
nobody does anything in this life unless they know there's a reason for it, believe me. So car manufacturers are not going to put CDs in.
Well, one thing's for sure, and I'll ask you this question. Do you think there's ever going to be a time when we do not have music in the world?
I hope not. I certainly hope not. We'll always have it, hopefully.
And I think that a lot of even young artists, and I think you mentioned before when you and I had spoken about Tony being on those calls with you, that those young guys were surprised but impressed and really wanted to hear what he had to say.
Absolutely.
And there is something, about learning from the masters as far as anything goes, the arts, and music is the same way, because artists, I know, Jimmy Haslip, Jeff Lorber, those guys, they learned classical, they learned jazz, they learned blues,
they know everything.
They learned everything. They didn't just say, hey, I'm going to go be a jazz player or whatever. They learned all this other material, and they incorporate it all.
Most great players, most talented players, unless they just have this natural ear, are great listeners. And believe me, they listen to what their mom and dad played, or their grandparents or whatever, and when they were taking lessons, they were playing the standards and the classic songs. Yeah. And that's basically how they learned. You got to be a great listener to be a good learner and to be a great player.
Yeah, you take elements of parts and pieces of stuff you've heard, and we may not even realize we're doing it. We just kind of do it.
Of course, it's already in. Everything's already been written.
Yeah, it's already in our head.
Written.
Yeah.
Everything.
It's just a matter of putting it in different order, or
It's already been done. The thing is, the real great musicians, and I hope that they will always, play. I hope they will always play real instruments. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whether it's a saxophone, a trumpet, whatever, a vibraphone. Because the more we get away from actual talent and playing and actual dexterity. Well, if you're a sax player, you got to have lungs.
Oh yeah,
and you got to have.
My dad's still playing. He's 87 years old.
You got to have coordination,
lung capacity. You still have to have it.
But when you sequence something, I'm not saying anything. I was a club DJ for years. I love disco.
Yeah.
God, the world needs disco. Let's go, baby. But that's like chocolate mousse for
I
years.
like disco.
I love it. Are you kidding? I love it. Anyway,
let's bring it back.
It's
Elements.
Never died, honey. It never died.
Well, it's really great to have you here on the show, and I'm
so
glad.
Thanks.
It was swell.
August
it was
25th.
Great.
Come.
All right, so Friday, August the 25th, go check out Johnny Coppola at the Dispensary, which is located over on Tropicana on the east side of town.
Yes, it is.
Right? And he'll be there at 10 o'clock and all the way through 2 o'clock.
Yeah, and anybody can hear my music. Just go to iTunes.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Check out his videos online. And
I don't really have many videos, but
well, check out what he does.
Yeah, and the truth is, you can hear all my songs.
And it is Johnny Coppola with 2 P's.
Yeah, 2 P's, 1 L.
2 P's and 1 L.
Otherwise, you wouldn't pronounce it that way, silly.
All right, thank you so much, Johnny. All right, we'll see you next time.
Thanks,
have a great
Sam.
day.